considerate of the town's fiscal constraints and fluctuating status of the economy, while drafting requests that will support the continuation of services expected by our community and provide for the upgrading of infrastructure necessary to offer those services safely and more efficiently. Again, I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of our Finance Director, Kristen Benoit, in producing this proposal with me and keeping us on a reasonable and conservative path. This proposal process has been affected by the uncertainty of the finalized state budget, the national economy, inflation, and supply cost. How these factor into our fiscal 24 revenue and expenditure planning is a work in progress. Key points of this fiscal 24 budget. The total proposed budget increase is a little more than $4.3 million, which is inclusive of just under $1 million in municipal expenses, $2.9 million for school state aid pass-through appropriation, and $500,000 increase in the school department appropriation. The levy increase is expected to be 2.54% or slightly more than $1.7 million. All negotiated contractual obligations for unionized staff and salary adjustments for non-union personnel are included in this budget. Capital expenditure requests total slightly more than $200,000, and we plan on continued proposing use of ARPA funds and aggressively seeking federal, state, and private grants and aid to supplement our infrastructure needs. We have fully transitioned into the employee retirement system of Rhode Island. The rates provided by ERSRI have been applied to all pensionable salary types within their respective departments, which is a change from the way we've done it in the past. A 3% decrease in our working rates has been applied as we prepare for our transition to the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust for Healthcare Management. Increase to workers' comp is due to additional billing received after the workers' comp audit. Total fiscal 23 expense is expected to be approximately $447,000. The adjustment for FY24 is only slightly higher due to our experience modification decreasing again for favorable claims experience. The tax collection rate remains the same at 96.8%. There is no planned use of fund balance in this proposal. And again, we look forward to collaborating with you to craft a finalized product that's in the best interest of our hardworking and deserving community.
Thanks, Mark. Just one quick correction. It's not a workshop. This is a public hearing. We've already had two workshops for the council last 2 weeks. And so tonight and tomorrow night will be public hearing. This is for the council to listen to our constituents and the taxpayers of West Warwick. You have the opportunity to come to the microphone if you have any questions or concerns on the Civic Center. Lori, I'll let you come up first and you can just explain your budget real quick, and council has any questions, then we'll open it up to the public.
Good evening. Again, the Civic Center is an enterprise, so it does not go off the taxpayer dollars. Revenues to here, everything that revenue that brings in is what the Civic Center pays our expenses with. And other than that, I mean, nothing has changed since the workshop. And again, it's just a guideline. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any of them that anyone has.
Any questions from the council for Lori?
I just have one.
Okay.
And we talked the other last week, but and I left it to the end. Nobody said anything, but we're including a part-time person.
Mhm.
The part-time person is 30 hours.
No, not at this time. There's not.
Does it
I mean, that person is currently covered under the town because of someone else that worked here.
have to provide benefits to someone that works? So there won't be benefits in law.
Currently, no.
Not found.
So if down the road that someone else were to take that position and they did need benefits, then we would provide benefits for them if that was something that was needed.
You're proposing.
Yes. So it was someone that was already there.
We had a position that she hasn't utilized. I don't remember if you took it out last year, but you had it in previous years.
Yeah.
But she wasn't utilizing, and we've also been sure that she needs to utilize it. So is that how you tweaked your personnel?
Yeah.
To include it?
That might answer my question then. I have a couple questions, but one of them is, under general wages.
Mhm.
2020, the actual was 223,199. 2021, it went down to 125,110. 2022, it went back up to 162,222. And then adopted last year was 188,865, and proposed this year is 234,686. That's a $45,821 increase.
So the summer camp, I believe, is part of that. I mean, obviously, if we get more kids, there's gonna be more wages, we're gonna hire more people. Also the rentals, you know, if I have more rentals, obviously, I'm gonna need more people on there. That's just what it comes down to. And I believe that the years that you're talking about would have been COVID years too, so we weren't able to open during those times.
2020 was the last year of the union, having all the union obligations in there.
Okay.
And then it
And
dropped
21.
because of COVID.
Union obligations didn't save us if we're back over what we were.
I mean, it's
before.
just, this is just a guideline. So right now, I'm expecting that I'm going to have those revenues, that I'm going to need to have the wages there. So right now, what I already have in place, so being spring, I'm planning for winter of next year. So I know exactly what's coming in, as long as, again, everything goes correctly, that, you know, we don't have any catastrophes or anything of that sort to buildings, then we should be fine. But we're already booking into those times. You have a question?
Unlike a regular department where you have staff scheduled and you know they're going to be working a certain amount of hours, in our public safety and DPW, people are working 40 hours, so you can project easily what their salaries are. There, it's simply, she references a guideline, but it's a projection based on the events that you're going to have, how many hours you're going to have to staff people. So it's very fluid, and it's the best guess
So-
at this time.
And just to clarify, Mark, I know you said in 2020 and 2024, non-union, union. If you look at, you're right as far as the actual general wages, but there's more employees than there were back in 2020. And also you look at,
Well, I don't have a breakdown for the amount of employees.
No, I
back then,
understand.
So, yeah, I'm just,
but the medical
Next page.
insurance is down 45,000. You look at your dental insurance is down 2,500. Your longevity is down 11,873. All the union perks and
a
benefits.
lot of those things dropped with everybody else's budget as well.
No, but
Specifically the medical.
not the longevity though. The
No, maybe not the
longevity,
But the medical and the dental did. And just about every other budget it's lower this year. So,
There's also overtime in 2020 of $21,000.
21,091 where, so there's about $100,000 just in
oh, yeah,
savings.
okay, yeah.
So if somebody rents the building, isn't that included in their rental price? That you have to require a staff person or 2 people or 3 people, whoever.
So the rental
Depending on the
fee is
rental.
125, but their wages still come out of the general wages, so it doesn't come off their rental fee. Like, I can't do it that way. So if you came in to rent it, you were renting it for 2 hours, I'm gonna charge you $250, but their wages aren't gonna directly come out of the $250
Right,
that you're
comes off the
paying, so
budget.
it's gonna
I
still
get it.
come out of that line of general wages. And the revenue is gonna go into the revenue line of field tax.
Right, but in the end, we're looking at revenue expenses, correct?
Mhm.
Because because it's an enterprise fund. That's what's always been said. I know how in the town budget, it doesn't, you can't put money back into the budget once it's approved. But this is a little bit different.
So I think, if I may, I'm not sure I understand either. I think what you might be saying is that the revenues that you have presented in your budget
Mhm.
reflect, in the wages, are reflected the number of people you think you're going to need to get those
Correct.
revenues.
Yes.
Okay.
And the way an enterprise fund is set up, it has to be a balanced budget. So if I anticipate that I'm going to have you know, just say for round numbers, I'm gonna have $300,000 worth of rentals, then when you do this budget guideline, you have to have $300,000
So-
worth of
so-
expenses. So you
I
can't show a
understand that.
profit or a loss.
Yeah, I
at this
understand, I
point,
understand how
But
it
But
at
at
works.
the end of the year, you can.
Based upon your budget, not just when she said employees, it's more like hours for you because
Yes.
for you have a lot of part-timers.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's the hours that you're gonna need coverage in whatever. So
Correct.
That's based upon the salary.
If,
Yeah.
if for some reason we didn't have the summer program, for some
Mhm.
crazy reason, you have revenues of $80,000, I assume you would have a corresponding or something similar reduction in the salaries that you would have to pay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I don't have this many revenues, then that
That's correct.
salary line is gonna come way
Right.
down.
I
But-
had to ask when I see a $45,000 difference between last year and this year.
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
ask.
No, absolutely.
It's a
No,
huge
Totally,
huge number
totally
there.
ask, yeah.
But
But again, I have a lot more going on during the summer this year where people were still, last summer, they were kind of, you know, do I really want to go in big groups? Do I really want to be, you know, around that many people? I mean, even when I do have a lot of bigger events, I mean, there's a lot of people still with masks that are, you know, are kind of scarce to stay around people, you
That's
know?
their choice. They're free
Yeah.
to do it.
You know, I mean, I know that I have a spring festival and I know that she has a couple of vendors that want to be segregated by themselves. They don't want to be amongst all the other vendors.
So I still have a couple other things, but I want to I got to go back because I saw a lot of people in the audience going like this when talking about your assistant that's already there.
So he was one of my part-timers that was just, you know, strictly part-time. And then he graduated from school and had more time. And again, I work I'm there 7 days a week. I'm there all the time.
And I'm not, that's not my question on that. I don't disagree with you there. My question is just, because like I said, I saw some people going, how does that make sense? How was it budgeted if it wasn't in last year's budget? To
How-
have this person brought to a full-time, a 30-hour position, if there were only probably a 15-hour position
So
before?
what happened is that some of my other part-timers, they graduated college and they got other jobs. So there's still rentals that needed to be filled. So at that point, I had to make a decision of, all right, I can't find a part-timer because I mean, we all know that trying to find people to hire is almost impossible. And you would think that everybody wants to be the Zamboni driver, but apparently not. And it's not just me, like I've talked to other rinks and, you know, I've talked to even Johnston Rec. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, these are fairly simple jobs too. I mean, that you're doing. And it's just, you know, again, some of those fast food chains, they're paying really good money that I can't compete with.
Well,
So,
And that's gonna lead me into my next thing. Under your second general wages down at 52,101, it's another significant increase, about $14,000, a little over,
for the summer camp.
for the summer camp.
So
But-
they all got raises
Right.
by
And
the
I,
government.
and you're right, you put that in your notes in the back, Rhode
Yep.
Island General Law. Make sure I get the right law stated here, that you put 28,12,3 for minimum wages.
Mhm.
That made it so you had to increase everybody's salary up to $13 this
Yep.
year. It's gonna mandatorily make you increase it to $14 next year, and
Yep.
mandatorily make you increase it up to $15 a year after that.
Right.
This is the problem, though. And this is what I don't understand, why people can't understand simple economics, especially when the state mandates something down like this. Your fees are eventually gonna have to go up because those people are only making $15 an hour now,
Mhm.
maybe 15 change. Come 2 more years from now, when they've got all that other time in and a brand new person walks in off the street, doesn't have a clue what's going on, they're gonna get the same, almost the same wage.
Yeah.
So it's gonna make it so other people are gonna have to have higher wages.
Yeah.
All this stuff, why can't people understand it? This is why everything's so expensive now.
Mhm.
Is because this is unsustainable.
I agree. And especially
it's
speaking of the
ridiculous
summer
that-
program, that's something that I really have worked over the years to make it affordable for the town. You know, I've really done a really good job of budgeting, trying to make it affordable, especially, you know, I love the kids that are in this town and, you know, we have a great time. And, you know, unfortunately this year I'm having more people come to us versus going on trips because the buses are alone are,
Everything's more
a
expensive.
bus
right.
is $700-800 for the day.
And,
I mean,
you
that's a lot of money. And then, you know, if you're going to the zoo and you're spending, you know, $5-10 for each kid to get in, I mean, that's a lot of money for
I
something that
remember
you're trying to keep affordable.
when I remember when I was about 16 years old, so less than 40 years ago. I was living with my uncle at the time. He was married, 2 children. And he was looking for another job because he wasn't happy where he was. He was trying to find a job. He said, I need to make at least $5 an hour.
Mhm.
Okay, at least $5 an hour to support a family of 4,
Yeah.
plus a teenager that just happened to roll in his door. You know? Minimum wage, not even 40 years ago, was $3.35 an hour. We're accelerating this so much, so fast, it is unsustainable.
Mhm.
And I really do wish people in higher positions than what this little council can do would realize that on the state level and a federal level. Minimum wage is not supposed to be a working wage. It's usually jobs for like you have,
Yeah, for the teenagers.
for
Yeah,
teenagers who want
Yeah.
something to do during the summer.
Right.
you
And
know?
to be good role models too.
And be good role models, right? And gets them into the working career. It's not supposed to be a living wage, but
Yeah.
anyway, I digress on that. My last question to you is, for vending, you're jumping up to 7,000.
So the concession stands, I reopened it this year. I renewed my license. I did all that stuff. And I did open it for high school hockey only. But again, as more people are starting to feel more comfortable coming back in, I'll probably open it on like the weekends, like for youth hockey games and things like that. So it's just stocking. That's all it is.
Because in my mind, I went both ways. One, she wasn't using nearly that much over the last few years, but I was thinking COVID. And I'm thinking everything's so expensive now, is 7,000 going to be enough?
Yeah. I mean, I don't go
Make it be enough.
crazy in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, again, I mean, if I'm selling and it's booming, then obviously I'll go over that number. But again, this is just a guideline to go by. So it's not like I'm stuck to that number. So if I'm, making money, doing good in there, then obviously I'm going to keep it stocked because if it's another source of revenue for the Civic Center. But if it's not doing good, then.
So Lori, what is this person gonna be doing for 30 hours a week?
So they're painting. I don't know. I don't know. They like to draw a lot of art in the Civic Center. So they're constantly cleaning and painting.
So it's a 30-hour maintenance position.
Yes, then driving the Zamboni. I mean, this one, that person is more the other person that's going out on the ice, doing the edging of the ice. They're the person that's changing the blades, their sole responsibility
Were
is
they
to
in
make
the ice
sure.
rink or the
They're
field?
both in both. Everybody's in both.
Okay.
We're also
So-
trying to get that person or anyone in that position some additional training to take on some of the first line supervisory, dealing with the public. So Lori doesn't need to be there all the time. So
See, that's the only thing I don't understand too. I know the field pretty well. And I don't know why you would have to be there 7 days a week. If
because
you do,
they
you don't
would-
trust your staff.
No, I 100% trust. I have a wonderful staff. I absolutely
So why do you
100%
have to
trust
be
my
there
staff
7 days a week?
because these,
Because she's Lori.
yeah,
Well, But
because
that
I am
doesn't,
Lori.
but that
And,
doesn't justify another position though. That's more of management and scheduling.
so
And there's
there's a
cameras there.
lot, going on in that building at all times. There's always a lot of different personalities to say. So I try to deal directly with whoever the organization leaders are. And sometimes some of the situations that occur need someone else to take care of them and not a part-timer.
Not a 17-year-old kid that's getting yelled at by a coach that
Yeah.
gets
I
the
mean,
phone call. and-
I've watched some things that
But that's,
it would turn your stomach, and I'm sure that you've seen it too. I mean, I've watched parents pull their kids in the middle of a game, walk out onto the ice, pull their kids off because they're not happy with the amount of play that they're getting. I've watched them do it on the basketball
but
court.
that's got nothing to do with you. I mean, you rent it out.
Yeah, well, then
It's like the
it's all
same
the
thing
other
as we-
parents
it's-
that,
But it's the
you know,
same thing
get
as we
mad.
renting out fields. That doesn't mean that that Jeff has to be at every field at every game. You're renting it.
yeah,
And
I'm
it's-
not at every single solitary one, but I'm there a lot. I am there a lot. Like, my goal is to make sure that everything runs good. And that might be just, again, every job, your personality just kind of trickles into, and that might be my personality of being there a lot too. Of making sure that everybody's happy. I'm a people pleaser. I wrote like chapter 1 through 10.
So this person's basically what you're saying is this person is already in place. And we're just bumping up and we're not going to advertise for a new person.
It was actually, I think it was online.
It
for
was
months.
online for a long time. And I still have a part-time maintenance. I believe it's still, I still have it on there. So I still need more. You know, come the winter, there's a lot of things that are going on and, you know, if I can continue to sell it and
Just to
Sell the
clarify,
eggs.
that position was advertised online for months. So
It's
there's
how-
one
so-
on
but
there
it's
now.
new in the budget. though.
Huh?
It's new in the budget to us this week. So
There's a position
And-
right now on there for part-time, is it?
Mhm.
Maintenance. I go on, I go on the town's website every other day to check to see what's for job postings or whatever.
So
Not that I'm
how
looking
is
or
it
anything.
posted without it coming to us?
No, I'm good.
but again, I think that so the Civic Center is an enterprise. It's a guideline. This is just a guideline of
No, I
what-
understand all that.
you know,
I
I'll
mean,
do
I'm
this.
focusing on this because it was actually brought up. I brought it up at the last meeting. It really wasn't forthcoming. You know, I mean, you had to search for this. I asked about, you had said, does anybody have anything else for the Civic Center? Nobody brought anything up. So there was a change. I saw it as I read it, and I asked about it. And then you
Without
said
that
because you
position, I
wanted
would
time off.
probably have to close some hours.
So you said you wanted to take time off, and that's it.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was said.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking tonight about the position. And it was already placed, already online for how many months or so,
Weeks.
whatever, but it wasn't even brought to the council first. So that means it's already a done deal.
Well, the job itself would not have to come to the council. The posting wouldn't come to the council.
No, I'm saying. it,
If
but
she
it's-
had money in her budget to hire that person or increase the hours for that person, she's well, I assume she'd work with the town manager and get
But it's a
that
new
done.
position with benefits, regardless if the person needs them or not. It's a benefited position because it's over 18 hours a week. So it's not like I understand hiring a kid. You don't want a kid. But it's a new position with benefits. And all I talked about for the last, I don't know, couple of times was about how I think the Civic Center should be paying the town back inside the budget as a line. So we have guaranteed something coming in. So we increase the revenue, so I'm not doubting you can make that revenue. But we also increased the expense line to meet the revenue. But we didn't even talk about, paying the town back it's a loan. I consider it a loan. You're stuck in this position because you're in the position after the town put all this money from the rainy day fund into the Civic Center. The rainy day fund, cash reserve, whatever you want to call it, was put in there by the people of the town, from the town budget. That went to the Civic Center to fix whatever you wanted to fix, whatever needs to get fixed. But that belongs to the people of the town. So to me, I look at it totally different. I look at it as a zero interest loan that needs to be paid back. And it needs to be parameters to pay it back. It can't be, if you do well, you put in $10,000 back. If you don't do well, you're in the negative and you owe more. I'm sorry, but that doesn't work for me. We're dealing with two different budgets here. And I really think there needs to be a concrete plan in place to pay something back to the town. And if nobody feels that way, fine, but I disagree with it.
Well, Jay, I think Kristen went over that last time, and look at the two surpluses in the last 2 years that the Civic Center has paid back, and we said it's paid back more than what we actually want to put in as a plan, right? But Kristen also said there's 300-something thousand in an energy fund that should have been paid back from the Civic Center. So if you do the two last years of surpluses plus that 300 change, I think we're close to 600, almost $700,000 out of the 800,000 that she owes the town. So everybody keeps thinking that she owes the town millions of dollars.
It's not, but then I feel more comfortable having a plan in place, that's all.
Anybody else from the council?
I thought we were still, because you just made it seem like they only owe like 200. I thought they're still up around 800.
Well, because the due to, again, the due to,
Right,
due
I know.
from,
I know, but even
And-
Kristen said before, it was still about 800,000.
766. So is that,
so out of that 766, okay, you haven't gotten this year's if there's a surplus, right? And I think Lori is planning on a surplus this year. So add that this year, which would be June, which is only 3 months away. And then the 300-something thousand from the energy fund that she said she can't take out right away. She has to do little by little as a plan. So if you want to make that a plan of whatever Kristen can do per year, I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, you're talking, you're gonna be close to that $700,000 mark.
That wouldn't be in the budget.
If I was Lori, I'd go with your plan, because it's better for her, because if she has $150,000 surplus, and you want $50,000 a year, she's getting $100,000 back to put towards the buildings. or do
Exactly,
whatever.
exactly.
Your plan,
That's not true.
No.
That's
no,
not
just
true.
because of,
Right, no, I
My-
understand
That's
that.
not
Personal
true.
I understand.
That's not true. That's not how it works.
it doesn't work that way
That's
because
right.
of our,
Because of accounting rules.
Accounting
Yeah,
rules.
Yeah, it's
Well-
not- they're not our accounting rules, they're accounting rules.
which is this accounting rule right here, this
Yeah.
audit that we have.
Yeah.
But again, I know what you're saying, and if it was my decision, I'd say, in my opinion, you could put it in your budget. If you think you're gonna have a surplus, you put it in your budget that you're gonna fix this, this, and this,
Yeah.
and pay back $50,000. That's what I would.
That's what I'm saying.
And then at the
I
end
have
of the
no
year,
problem with that.
and at the end of the year, if you're in the hole and you don't do those projects, you have to wait, but that's, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but if there's money sitting somewhere for something else that needs to go into there eventually, then
And it's not necessarily for something else. It should have perhaps been assigned to the civic center. I think that's
They
what
put it
you,
in there because they were energy credits. so
That's
they went to
correct.
The energy fund.
so the energy credits, since we are charging the civic center, some of them can be applied to the civic center.
Which I did lower there.
Yes, you did.
So is that lower it from 766 to something, or is that?
So again, the 766 is a changing number every day. We pay payroll, it goes up. We take in revenues, it goes down. Every day it changes. It's not part of anything. It's not part of the budget. It's an accounting function. So we take in cash, it goes down. We pay payroll or any expenses, it goes up. And then it cuts off on June 30th.
Correct.
And then that's where it ends. And then it starts all over again.
With a number from June 30th, correct?
Rolls forward, yes. So then the next year, she ends up taking in more than she expended, that number again goes down further. It's just how it works. And then if you want to make a decision to transfer, say, 50,000 at the end of every fiscal year from the energy fund to kind of further reduce that due to the town, you could make that decision. I wouldn't put it in the budget because you don't want it to be viewed upon as spendable.
Correct.
You want it to be just a transfer in to reduce the due from or due to the
What do
town.
you mean, look at it as spendable?
You don't want to put it in the budget as
So
it,
it would count as revenue. It would
right,
go
because a
under our
balanced
revenue
budget,
line.
if you
Yeah,
put
that's
revenue, you
right.
gotta put
Yeah.
corresponding
Right, yeah.
expenses. I mean, the goal is to run the civic center and benefit the community and basically break even or make a profit that reduces what it owes to the town. But she has to be able to run efficiently. So that's the goal, is to run efficiently.
any other questions from the council before I open up to the public? Any public comment on the civic center? Or question?
John Reed, 62 Andrews Avenue. I gotta say your budget makes more sense than a lot of them. I'll give you that. Like the wind turbine thing, I just like some clarification. I'm not saying numbers wrong, not wrong. I'm just looking for clarification.
Want me to
Civic Center is always paying,
want me to answer that one for you real quick? So the wind turbines, each department, when we purchased the wind turbines, correct me the dollar amount again,
$18 million.
$18 million. It was divided by all the departments on based upon their usage. And Lori's was actually a lot higher last year and the year before. It's been reduced in the library, the school department. Everybody has to pay back that bond, and that's coming out of their budget.
Her usage on the Schedule B went down.
but on the other budgets, I don't see that line item. I only see that line item for the.
School
civic
has
center.
it, the senior center pays us, the
But
library
electric,
pays
it
us,
says electric. doesn't say
but it's
nothing.
actually, it's the
So it's-
payback.
It's just a matter of verbiage. One's calling it turbine, one's calling it electric.
Mhm.
Yeah, there are no electric bills anymore. Electric bill that comes through is pages and pages of bills. So it's not an electric bill. We're really paying back the bond.
Yeah, and
It's what they're
also,
paying in place of electric.
you know, if you go to her,
Well,
line item.
hers says electric too, 2,550, 11 says electric.
You know, that's good, electric. So that's where I'm confused,
it's
electric or
what they're
turbine money?
They're paying the debt service, so they're making a contribution to the energy fund to cover the debt service that's being paid out of the energy fund. And that's what they're paying in lieu of electricity. So instead of paying National Grid, they're paying the energy fund.
So the Civic Center just happens to have the largest.
They don't have the largest, no.
No?
Nope, no. Nope, the school is large. The wastewater is probably second largest.
All right, that's why I said I need clarification, because I see electric on some of these, and this is the only one I see turbine. So to me, Civic Center is the only one paying for the turbine.
I asked for clarification at the last meeting also, and David had to explain it then.
Oh, yeah. That's why I say, I'm not
Yeah.
No,
saying
no.
nothing's wrong, I just, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know, where do you see wind turbine? Because I don't see wind turbine.
It's
Just
straight
on the
ahead.
one that. I-
Is there a second one?
No,
On mine,
so-
it says
oh,
electric.
summary.
No, so
Oh,
on the,
alright.
on the summary, it says wind turbine. When you look at the backup on the
But on the-
following page.
This
it
is
does
Lori's
say-
spreadsheet. She
Yeah,
manipulates
in the
it
general
much
ledger,
more
they're all
accurately.
labeled electric.
Yes,
Also, I understand budgeting, and you just started with the concession stand again. Okay, and you budgeted $7,000, so you didn't project any income
She did 19,000.
for concession stand?
Vending machine revenue, so that just, it's vending and concessions.
that's
so
what I mean, it's-
Yeah. Yeah, this is just my
No.
spreadsheet, just to make.
But you know what I'm
sure.
saying? If you're
Yeah.
looking at this, it says you have a debt of $7,000 projected for concession expense, which is fine. But then when you go for your revenue, who's gonna say, well, concession expenses there is the expense and vending machine revenue is your income? I mean, you do not get confused, right?
Reword it to vending / concession.
Yeah, but vending machines, a machine,
So I do
Coke
have a vending
machine,
and I do have a
candy
concession
machine.
So I have both.
So under
I know you do, that's why-
2550, 2502, 5300, vending concession and supplies. So that shows the $7,000. So that's all the
an
supplies.
expense.
And then on her revenue side, she has a $19,000 revenue for vending concession.
second from the bottom.
So
No, she does. No,
she
I'm
should
not
make
arguing that point. I'm just
$12,000
saying,
in
if you're
concession.
looking at the spreadsheet as a layman, apples and apples are not. I'm looking at a concession expense, which I understand.
Mhm.
Okay, you have a concession expense. You physically give people their drinks, sodas, whatever, pizza. When you're looking at a vending machine revenue, it's machine. So it could be just clerical, but it
So
doesn't,
if you could just do vending /
That's what I said.
concession revenue, take the machine word out of there.
Say, your breakdown over here should equal the wording that says in your Excel spreadsheet.
I'm not saying that anything's wrong, it's
No,
just.
yeah.
you
No,
know.
I-
Cash reserve fund, there is no cash reserve fund for that operation?
That would be budgeting money to put into their cash reserve fund, but since they need to keep reducing their due to the town, then they can't build up a cash reserve fund.
They run with no reserve.
They have a positive net position, but most of it's based on their assets, the assets of the Civic Center.
Other than that, I think it was like 600,000,
Yeah,
am I correct?
Mhm.
And then you answered my electric question. As far as your payroll stuff, if you can get people to come to work for these numbers, God bless you. I mean, even as, you know. If I need 16 guys, I got 9, and I give them 3 times more than that. My payroll budget's 300,000. And I still can't get them. If you can get kids to work for that kind of money, it's impressive. But, you know, that's the only thing I saw, there was only clarification.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none? Civic Center.
The only thing I'm wondering is, we're gonna add this position. Kind of listening back there. That position is not being paid out of her payroll, it's being paid by the town.
No,
Oh, I thought you said it was the town.
No.
I couldn't hear back there.
no.
They're all time jobs, everyone.
Okay, and then if we're adding expenses with that position, are we increasing what it costs to use that place? Or is that still a discussion that's sitting on the table? Increasing fees, is what I'm saying. I mean, if you're gonna take more money, let's put more money in, right? Otherwise, the surplus is gonna be in the negative again. Because now you're adding more money coming out, but we haven't increased money to come in. And I've had this discussion on multiple times with you guys, and here we are, budget season, we're gonna approve something, and we haven't changed the money coming in. And I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to get this council to understand you need more money. So we need to lift these, okay, just like Mark said, the cost of everything is going up. That means the cost of ice should be going up, the cost of rental should be going up, the cost of parking, whatever you want to do. Whatever that thing does revenue, those numbers should go up a minimum 20%, just like we just did at Reed's Landscape. 20% increase, not 1%, 2%, 20%. They don't want to pay, go somewhere else. But you can't keep taking money and not putting it back in. So at least at this point, the way I'm looking at it is a new position is 30 hours a week. Don't know what the hourly rate is, plus the benefits is a pretty hefty number at the end of the year that is not being accounted for with the revenue.
Well, she is, actually. She's counting on
She's-
increased hours
For
to
increased
take care.
hours,
Yes,
but we're not increasing revenue coming in.
well, we are, the numbers going up, but not the rate. I would agree
understand
with
what I'm
you.
saying?
Yeah, I absolutely understand what you're saying.
I
I
think
mean,
that discussion needs to happen soon, and I've been driving that home for a while.
I think we're very comparable around the state to the sheet of ice per hour, if not equal. What are we, 250, 265? 240? And that's
But does that-
comparable.
Okay, but is it comparable? Does that balance the books?
According to her, it does.
are the fees at the Civic
So,
Center part
Mr.
of what you're
Derek,
looking at
Let
too?
me just clarify something. You know, we talk about expenses going up. The council's looking at this is, if we can keep that affordable, because it doesn't, if she raises the rates on the team, coach is gonna raise the rates, or the league is gonna raise the rates on the child.
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep it affordable on the children too. So I don't know if you know, hockey's a very expensive sport.
Oh, I know.
$2,000 a year for a kid to play,
So was it
Been there.
softball, so was it everything.
okay? Parents, if you go up another $500, you know, they might go to another league. You might go to Smithfield, so you might lose revenue. You might, so you gotta look at it both ways. We're trying to keep it affordable for the children of our
You know
town.
what? If you're gonna keep status quo, then maybe we stay status quo with the rates. But if we're gonna increase spending, then we need to increase income. That's all I'm saying. That's just the way it works. I mean, you know that.
Understood?
So I
what I
think there
mean?
is a project within the town, and Mark, please correct me if I'm wrong, that we're looking at fees in general. The problem is you're booking out into the fall now, so we need to make that change. Now, we ran that into
I
that
know.
same thing with baseball, and softball. We didn't get that in time, so we do need to actually look at that, not necessarily in the budget, but
We haven't got to that point, but you want
Yeah.
to bring that point up? We have brand new facilities,
Yep.
fields.
Yep.
It's gonna cost a lot more money this year to keep those up.
No
And going
question.
forward with the increases of everything.
no question, but that's a
So
project
the
that
answer
you're
is
working
yes,
on.
we're reviewing all our
Yes.
fees to see if there's a better way to combine some, raise some, lower some, check with our neighbors to see what they're doing to make sure that we're in the ballpark and where, you know, what precipitated that was the significant investment in our recreation facility. So that's what started the overall review. Because obviously we want to be able to keep up on our investment
Yeah.
and in my opinion, at least, eventually it'll come before you to vote on, but it's nice if the people that are using it can see the benefits of their investment too. So that's the tact that we're taking. You know, the Civic Center is part of that to see where we are. obviously getting to this point with the budget's been our priority. I have most of the submissions from the department, so after this week passes, we'll be shifting back to that. And like you said, there will be a cutoff. At some point, you'll vote on the rates and there'll be they'll be effective on a date selected. And people that have booked already, they're at what they booked, and people moving forward, we'll advertise them and let them know. We'll probably have a gap time, but they'll be effective as of a date select.
And right now, you completely booked on everything. You have no open slots. Right. But my point being is raising the rates is, which is at a disadvantage to other places. You could have some more open slots and end up losing some. Where if we stay where we are, those other ones, they might not like the hours, but they might not have a choice because it's going to be better for them financially. So we can increase a little bit of revenue by having those other slots filled as well. So it's that balance act.
I'm good.
Old 6 Colonial Way. Laurie, I know you're gonna do an adjustment here on the word machine,
Yeah.
but we have vending machines
I have a
in the
vending
building.
machine in the field house. Yes. And I have soda machines in the field house and in the.
Okay, so soda machines. Who owns them?
I take care of those.
You don't
But the
own,
vending machine, I take stuff off the shelf and I stock it on myself.
now, as far as yourself, maybe, one of the part-timers, those vending machines from Pepsi or Coke, they're extremely expensive, but they give them away after, I think it's 6 months of a contract. You own the machines, they're your responsibility, you got the keys, you collect the cash, you load them. It can be a cash cow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to kind of look at to increase the revenue.
Maybe in the
If-
upcoming year, that's
If
something I can
something,
look at.
yeah, because I had, working for the church, I had 4 of them put in. And I think it was 6 months that they came and took care of it. Then they said, you can continue if you want, or just load it yourself. And we were making 10 grand a year in a little church. So, but there was always someone that had to go pick up the stock and load the stock, but it can be,
Favorite job.
no, come on. But it could be a cash cow. Okay, thank you.
Any other comment for the Civic Center? Hearing none? Need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
Most of the game.
Let me know when you're ready.